Greetings. Welcome to Dr. Neil's Spiritual Awakening to Non-Duality. This is Dr. Connie Zweig, and I'll be interviewing my husband who lives in spiritual awakening. You may have heard about this or read about it, but you may not know someone who lives it day to day. We'll be exploring how non-duality developed in Dr. Neil as I've observed it over 25 years, and as he directly experiences it every day. Each podcast will explore a different theme. We look forward to you joining us. Hi, welcome back to the podcast. Today we're going to take on the subject of past lives. Dr. Neil can recall a number of them. And, this is a kind of a popular discussion. But what is the value of it? What is the meaning of it? And what does it tell us about who we are? And in this case, who Dr. Neil is? Okay, go ahead.
So the soul, human soul, is both individual and collective. In other words, I have my own soul and it belongs to a group soul whose purposes are very similar, and the group soul belongs to the human soul. The human soul, in other words, human beings are in essence all one soul, and that's an expression of divinity. So the notion of a soul, separate soul, is important because it's a higher evolutionary level of awareness than waking up and being just awake.
What do you mean?
It's more complex and happens for most people after they reach a certain level of awakeness, spiritual awakeness.
What does soul awareness?
Soul awareness.
Okay.
So soul awareness came to me after I was already enlightened, after I was already pure consciousness was my nature. And soul awareness is important because the soul is immortal. It has no real beginning because it starts with the divine and then manifests through the human soul and through the individual souls, the group soul, and evolves. So it moves through stages of evolution and does so through going through different lifetimes and times between lifetimes. So the soul is my soul, and nevertheless, I can't speak to everybody, but my soul is always growing, always unfolding, always becoming. Whether it's in a body or in a form, mental, physical, ego form, or whether it's between lifetimes, or whether it's immersed in the divine, the pure awareness. So the process of growth from a soul perspective looks somewhat linear. In other words, I had a past lifetime experience and I have a present lifetime experience. There's a growth. On a soul level, that of course is somewhat illusionary because all is available in the moment because the soul lives in the moment as well as in the sense of time and time unfolding. So I can recall 6 lifetimes right now. The earliest one was in Lemuria, which is a mystery for our culture because it doesn't exist in the world we're in. Some people believe it sank beneath the ocean, but my experience is that Lemuria was an astral planet, not a physical planet.
Oh, that's why it was never found.
That's why it was never found. And so I came through the different levels of consciousness from the divine to the human, to the group soul, to the personal, and landed in a body, in astral body, in Lemuria. Astral body means the astral plane, which is the more subtle plane, the physical plane. And there was some calamities in that because we were using magic. It was pretty self-destructive as a experiential level. But that was the first plane that human beings were incarnated into.
Oh,
You know,
there were no humans in bodies. There were just humans in astral bodies in
Yeah.
Lemuria.
Correct. But that was the first level for human being incarnating.
For the species.
We didn't incarnate until then.
You
know, and we made a pretty messy job of it, much like what we're doing in this lifetime. Pretty messy. So as the human soul, let's call it an individual, we all left that plane, went back to the source, and incarnated through the different layers and levels of awareness. Celestial level, we have a celestial body, a physical body, all the way in through the astral level, through into the physical body. And that is really our second cycle of lifetimes, which we're in now. So now we're on a physical planet, not a astral planet. And the first lifetime I remember from this one was in Egypt.
You mean after Lemuria?
After Lemuria, coming to Egypt at the time of the Sphinx. I was involved, as I was in all my lifetimes, with healing and spirituality, which is kind of interesting because that's our group soul. And that's my aspect is always connected with the group soul's purpose of healing and development of this spirituality.
And do you have any memories from your Egyptian life?
Yeah, I remember being initiated in a temple. It's part of a spiritual community. We kind of believed that we were divine and that we had privilege in that, and we were here to guide others along a sort of spiritual path.
So you were the guides in some kind of a hierarchy.
Yeah, and the initiation process was pretty structured and pretty developed.
I'll never forget a book I read called Initiation by
Yes.
Elizabeth H. I don't know why I remember that, but it was about the Egyptian initiation process.
Yes, that was a later period where there was already pyramids and people were initiated in the pyramids themselves.
Oh, so you were there earlier.
I was there earlier.
Okay.
And the next lifetime was an interesting one. I was in ancient Greece, also a male, also involved in healing with color and light and sound. And in fact, I met somebody recently, a doctor, who's working with color and sound and light, and who I was actually connected with in that lifetime when we worked together as healers.
Yeah, it was kind of mind-blowing that you both remembered the past connection.
And we both remembered it, and sort of was magical that this lifetime and that lifetime connected with each other.
And it bonded you.
Bonded us. And the next lifetime was in China. I was also a healer, but this is a different kind of healer. This is an energetic healer. So I would move energy in people's bodies and minds. And that capacity is still with me now, although I don't do it very often. It's moving energy up the nadis, the subtle nervous system.
But it would have been meridians then.
Yeah, the chakras. Yeah, just the language is Indian, but it's basically the process. So, so I would do healing work on people, and it's a very powerful practice.
And who were you in that Chinese lifetime? Were you a householder?
No, I was not.
I
was an individual.
Were you a monk?
Well, we didn't call ourselves monks. I was an healer, and being chaste, and that means no sex and no intimacy and no relationship was part of the process. So it opened up all the energy centers and enabled me to be a source of energy movement. So the Chinese lifetime was very much about building chi, energy, and being able to project it.
And was this within a religious system like Confucian or Taoism or?
Yeah, Confucianism.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Next lifetime after that I remember was in France. And that's an interesting one because I remember being with Connie. She wasn't Connie then, and she was a woman as well. And we were not directly related. We were cousins, but we lived in the same place and we went to the same community, Catholic community. I was a priest, Catholic priest, and she was a nun. And that lifetime was about devotion. Once again, no family system, individual relationship with God, with the divine. And my development there was powerful. I mean, I managed to reach to the heart level. And that was a very important lifetime because compassion, caring, empathy grew enormously in that lifetime.
Were you in a monastery?
I was not in the monastery. I was an active monk, priest. I was in the community and I was taking care of people and helping people with healing and service. There was a lot of conflict going on at the time. There was a lot of wars. So there was healing was an important role. And caring for the ill and the wounded was important. And then the next lifetime was the Indian one, which I've spoken about before. I was in India. I was a Brahmin priest in a Shiva temple. I was married to wives, bunch of kids, and I did intense spiritual practice where I moved my consciousness to one with the divine, with Brahman. And when I left my body around about 60 years old, I went straight to Brahma Loka, to the divine, blissful place.
So this was a Vedic tradition. It was Vedanta or Kashmiri Shaivism or something. And this was in southern India, right?
This was in southern India.
Do you remember what lineage it was?
It was a Shiva temple.
Uh-huh.
So I was the priest, or one of the priests in the temple. And it was a very important lifetime because it was the first time I woke up to my spiritual consciousness, to my being, pure awareness, being complete. Unfortunately, I skipped out a lot of the human development because I was on an intense path to try to reach real consciousness. And so when I got to Brahmaloka, which I mentioned before, but I can mention again, I was in bliss for a period of time and then became bored. This is actually wonderful, but if it's a flat, pure, blissful, it's not that exciting. After a while, one wants to grow. And I didn't have the vehicles to grow because I had moved from the third chakra, from the mind, from ego, directly to the seventh, to being and pure awareness.
So the holy longing for evolution arose again.
Yes, the awareness that there's more, and that I did not have the vehicle for more. I needed to come back into this lifetime. So I looked about and found my mother. She had a particularly driven energy, and that was very good because that was neurotic and that was pushing me to grow. And it's been very successful in this lifetime because it actually sent me to psychology and learning about growth in those terms.
So do you see any common themes in these 6 lifetimes?
Yes, I was male in all of them. I was a healer in all of them. I was spiritually oriented in all of them. They were all part of the same soul group, which is involved in spiritual growth and healing. And they were contributed towards that. not just my personal growth, but contribute towards the sole purpose of the group. And we all belong to one group or another.
Did you say this is a group of bodhisattvas
That would be a good description. Yeah.
in service?
It's in service and it's about healing.
So all of these lifetimes you were in service to others or to humanity.
Correct.
Okay. And what's the value of knowing about this?
Yes. Well, one might say this is ego, but this is not ego. This is soul. So the soul remembers and takes in the full lifetime when one dies. So the soul, eventually, the soul will incorporate the full experience of the lifetime in itself. So the soul has memory and awareness of each lifetime and the continuity of the process. And it's capable of being very physical and very spiritual, very enlightened, and in some ways integrates both of those. What's the value? The value is identity. Who am I? The value is why we're here. The value is our connection with everything, a connection with all human beings, with everything else.
And so would you address identity and meaning or purpose in the context of past lives and reincarnation?
Well, identity, we start off being very basic, caveman basic, on a physical level. That's survival, kill or be killed, eat or be eaten. What's important is the immediate identity with your body, with your spouse, with your children, and that's about it. So, you're at war with everything.
But what does this have to do with past lives?
Oh, well, the soul is present through all eternity, through all lives. So right now, I am a soul operating through the divine, the group soul, the body, the emotional world, the mental world, the heart world.
What is
the
this?
Ego.
Okay.
The ego. So right now, I was born as a soul. So now my awareness is I can remember coming into my mother's body. I can remember going through the birth process. I can remember early childhood where there's no ego, where there's soul awareness for the first few years. I can remember the development of an ego. I can remember the development of teenage part of myself. And I can remember all of the story of life through that process. And I can actually have a sense of what will happen when the physical body dies. And when I move back into soul awareness, and what that means. And the development of soul is key because where we go to next is part of this development.
So what I'm hearing you say about identity is most people are lost in their local immediate identity, either their bodies, their feelings, their beliefs, right? Physical, emotional, mental body, ethnicity, race, age, tribe, religion. And what this kind of experience that you're describing offers is that those immediate local one lifetime identities are very partial and limited and passing. And that when we see ourselves as souls in the cycle of birth and death, our identity expands tremendously. And our fear can reduce, right? And our sense of commonality can increase. Is that correct? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. So the movement of identification from being an individual which to being cosmic, and then to being a soul, which includes individual and cosmic, is important. That identification is a growth and allows us to be free. So I'm not just a body. I'm not just an ego. I'm not just soul or a separate being. I'm collective. I'm divine, and the soul allows all of that to happen.
And the memory, the recollection of the soul's journey through the lifetimes frees our identification.
Yes. So, death becomes an entry to the next level, and birth becomes an entry into initiating one into the growth of more story, and reaching a place where one does not need to reincarnate because one's already occupying the entire reality becomes real. So, so this is important development. It's important development of the consciousness of the divine experiencing itself through individuality.
Great. Thank you. Do you want to say anything about where you're at in this present moment?
Yeah, I continue to be everywhere, unbounded, free from form. My sense is that I am the wind, I'm the stars. I am whatever I perceive or whatever I don't perceive. I'm free. I can go anywhere and be anything.
Including a soul on a journey through many lives.
And including a physical being. And including your husband.
And Grandpa Neil.
And a grandfather.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in today. If you found our discussion insightful, there's a good chance your friends will too. And we'd love it if you could take a moment to share this episode with a friend who you believe would appreciate it. Help us spread the word and reach more people. And follow us on any platform. Turn on your episode notifications so you never miss new content. Thanks for being part of our podcasting journey.